Anthony Hartwig here with our first lacrosse player profile of the season. I'm joined by Cardinal Mooney's Ella Szalay. Ella, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And your coach is telling us so many great things about you. But the first thing I want to ask you about is just the sport of lacrosse at Mooney. Obviously, it's growing at a very big rate. You've almost doubled the number of girls on your team this year than last year. What's it been like kind of being a part of this program and watching it grow year after year after year?
Yeah, it's awesome because when I first started freshman year, there weren't very many people, and just because we aren't in the Cleveland area, no one really knew about it. I knew about it from my sister when she played, so I'd play in the backyard with her and her friends. But it's just awesome to see the sport grow and just to allow everyone to get exposure of it.
When you came into Cardinal Mooney and started in the program, what were some of the things that you kind of have grown as a person throughout the years on this lacrosse team?
My skill wise, I mean, that has definitely improved, but also just my confidence on the field. With all my teammates' support and my coaches, Tony and McKenna, I have just grown as a player overall, and it's just very exciting to be on the field for every game.
I'll tell you what, for someone that only kind of played in the backyard before they started high school and never really had like that organized lacrosse growing up, you have really set the tone for this team. You're second in the state of Ohio in goals scored right now. What's working so well for you this season?
I think just having chemistry with my teammates, both on and off the field. Addison Stacy always is there to assist me. And so I think we just work really well together, and just having confidence and faith in one another works well.
And you're talking about chemistry with your team. When we had Coach Shaheen on earlier in the season, she was previewing the year. She told us how many freshmen you guys have on this team. What's it been like kind of molding the veterans and the people that are really experienced with all the young girls that are coming on this team as well?
It's just awesome to see like all of the freshmen, a lot of them play basketball, and so they can transition like their skills and like knowledge of the game of basketball onto lacrosse field because it's somewhat similar. And so it's just awesome to see all of the upperclassmen who have a few years under their belts and experience helping out the freshmen, but even the freshmen giving the upperclassmen some advice too, just because there are a few upperclassmen that are new to the game as well.
You are obviously asked to be a big of a leader of this team. How would you describe your leadership capabilities? What kind of leadership do you bring to the table?
Um, I mean, I'm not one to like yell or like at the other teammates. That's usually Maria Pecchia. But I think just having the knowledge of the game and like the higher skill set, a lot of the younger girls do look up to me, and I just have to play that role, even if sometimes I don't have the most confidence in myself either.
I like that you bring up your knowledge of the game because obviously, since you started at Mooney, your lacrosse IQ has probably gone way up. What would you kind of attribute that to? What gives you a lot of the knowledge that you've been able to acquire over your career so far?
Honestly, from my sister and her friends that played, they were the ones that like showed me all the rules and everything, and Tony and McKenna. But I also do watch a lot of college lacrosse games, and so I just look at how the girls play out there.
When you were developing all your skills, what was the hardest thing to kind of grasp initially? The hardest thing to kind of get, the hardest skill to master?
Oh, right now, I'm trying to master the behind the back shot, and so a lot of my teammates and my coaches and the refs try and cheer me on to try it in a game, but I haven't yet because I'm a little scared. But hopefully, I can master that throughout the season.
Hopefully, you can get that in the game soon. We can get it highlighted on YSN because that would be some kind of feat to be able to pull that off. Um, so talking about this team a little bit further, it's our first kind of not our first season covering you guys, but our first season getting some player profiles, getting Coach Shaheen on to talk about it. Uh, Give us an insight into what the personality of this locker room is and what kind of the personality of this team is.
We are just a bunch of, I don't even know. We have probably 3 brain cells all combined within the team. Everyone is always making TikToks or just dancing and screaming to the most random songs. It's so fun.
What teammate has the best TikTok account since everyone's making them?
We made our own Mooney Black's TikTok account, and so Abby and Peyton are always posting on it, and so it's very interesting.
You know, one of the things about this Mooney team that a lot of people probably don't understand or don't know if they cover it, you guys have to travel quite a bit. I mean, there's not a ton of lacrosse teams here in the area, so to get teams to play, you got to go a little bit out of the area. What's that like? You know, making trips to Cleveland, making trips to that Cleveland Akron area, and constantly trying to play teams that are further away from you.
Um, it's nice, but it's exhausting for a lot because we have like 4 games a week, and if they're all in Cleveland, then it's hard to like level out your schoolwork and the games because you're getting home late. You're eating dinner like 10:30, but it's also nice to have the exposure of playing those Cleveland.
The other thing about this program is they've earned enough success after the success from last year and respect that those teams want to come and play you guys in Youngstown. What's that like when you're able to finally bring some of those Cleveland and Akron teams down here and not have to travel up there to see them?
Oh, it's so nice. I like having the home field and I like not traveling and it's just comfortable. And it's kind of funny just to see a lot of like the Cleveland team's reactions to the Youngstown area because like it's not what a lot of people expect. So it's funny.
And then when we talk about lacrosse in the area, like I said, there's not a ton of teams, but it's growing. It's growing in the area. As a lacrosse fan, as a lacrosse athlete, what's it like to look around and see a bunch of programs starting to grow and starting to really become really good lacrosse programs just in our area?
I think it's awesome to see it just grow in our area because all those Cleveland teams, the girls started in elementary school and in this area we're not exposed until high school. And I wish that my parents were able to get me in the program earlier. And so now having it develop a lot more in this area, it's nice to get these young kids exposed.
All right, so not only are you leading on the lacrosse team and showing people how to do it on with the stick and ball, but you're also kind of showing people how to get through adversity. Your coach was telling us that you have diabetes and you have to deal with that. They have to maintain your sugar before games and in halftime sometimes. Obviously you are not alone as an athlete that has to deal with that. There are plenty of college athletes and professional athletes that have been very open about dealing with diabetes. From your perspective, what's it been like navigating the high level of lacrosse and being as good as an athlete as you are while having to manage that?
It's not always easy. There are some days during like the games I always seem to go high from all of the heat or the adrenaline and then I will sometimes go low. And so like last year, Lena Rotuno, she always had a lifesaver in her sock in case I went low on the field. And I don't think a lot of people do understand the basis of diabetes and it's a complex disease, but I just do my thing and let it work.
Coach Shaheen really wanted to kind of highlight what you go through and how you have gone through it. What are some of the things maybe early in your athletics career, maybe you struggled with that you have gotten past, or you've been able to kind of not feel the way that you used to about, dealing with it anymore? What are some things that you've gotten past?
Yeah, when I was first diagnosed about 4 years ago, my mom just wanted it not to affect my athletic career. And so the first week out of the hospital, I was going on runs with my mom. I was going back to soccer practices, but I was still just in the back of my head constantly worrying like, is my blood sugar okay? Like how is this going to affect me? Am I gonna have to stop playing sports? But now it's just a daily routine and I'm just used to it.
I imagine going through something like that, you've had to find resources of inspiration or things to kind of get you through the rough days. What are some of your biggest role models or forms of inspiration that you look towards?
I'd say my biggest role model is probably my sister. She played lacrosse all 4 years in high school, and she's now in the ROTC Air Force. And she just shows me that no matter what and who I am and what adversity I do face, she's always there for me, and my whole family's just there to support me.
Let's talk about outside of lacrosse. Obviously, you're a student athlete, and the student comes first in that word for a reason. What are some of your favorite subjects to learn in school? What kind of things do you like to study?
I used to be a big math girl, but not anymore. Right now I'm taking guitar class, which is interesting. I'm not very musically inclined, but I'm learning a few chords.
What's taken over the math part? Because you said you used to be a math girl, but now it's getting a little bit not math. What took over math in your brain?
Oh, I mean, I do like to focus on my lacrosse, but I like English now. I don't know why, but whenever my mom makes a grammatical error, I always like to correct her, even if she gets mad at me.
You know, I gotta tell you, they're kind of a unicorn because most people I talk to that say math or say English, I have a complete disdain for the other end of the spectrum. Like they do not like math if they like English, and they do not like English if they like math. When you think about some of the teachers though that have been through your high school career, are there any that have really impacted your journey?
Pete Smith, he was my freshman year math teacher. He's always made me laugh. I always see him in the hallways. And the other day when I did hit my 100 goals, he was like, "Yeah, like I expected that from you, but I'm ready to see 300 by the end of senior season."
Perfect segue because when you hit that 100th goal, we saw a lot of support run your way from the Cardinal Mooney athletics account and their school system. What was it like to see the entire student body and the entire kind of community of Cardinal Mooney really kind of applaud that milestone and be able to show you some support when you were able to hit 100?
It was just incredible to see everyone supporting me, and a lot of people honestly, like, didn't know I was very athletic just because I don't like to flaunt about it, and I'm not a huge talker in school. So, it was just crazy to see the amount of people that would come up to me in the halls and, like, congratulate me when I've never really talked to them, but it was really nice.
All right, because lacrosse is a niche sport that a lot of people haven't grasped yet, I'm sure you get a lot of questions about lacrosse and a lot of like, what the heck is lacrosse? What do you think is the funniest question you've ever received from someone that doesn't know lacrosse about the sport?
Oh. A lot of there's someone, I think it was the Spanish teacher here, she asked me if it was like golf or like field hockey and we'd hit the ball on the ground with the stick, like the end of the stick and hit it by the net. So that was quite interesting. Don't really know who's done that, but he
What do you think is the biggest misconception about your sport from people that maybe haven't gotten into it yet?
hmm. A lot of people, I mean, they think it's really hard, which it is. It's not an easy sport to grasp, but I feel like if you have like soccer or basketball background, it's easier to pick up the skill set of.
Obviously, you've put a lot of time in it to get to where you're at. So to do that, you have to have fallen in love with it. What was it about the sport that made you kind of fall in love with lacrosse and working at lacrosse and getting yourself to this level that you're at right now?
I think because it wasn't a very well-known sport that I just found it very interesting and I grew up playing soccer and I feel like every little kid they always grow up playing soccer. And as much as I do love that sport, I think lacrosse just kind of hit a special place in my heart and I just like being on the field. I like the pace of the game and just the way that's played and the community that it brings.
One of the last things we want to know is obviously you've already accomplished so much in your lacrosse career with 100 goals and counting and number 2 in goals scored in the state of Ohio. What's next? What's the next bar that you've set for yourself as an athlete?
One thing that I really want to accomplish is the most goals scored in a girls lacrosse game at Cardinal Mooney is 8, and I really want to break it and get 9. So that's my big goal.
I feel like reading through your stats, you've gotten really close a couple of times already this season. So I think you're knocking at that door. I wouldn't be surprised. Ella, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to thank your support system and all the people that have kind of been there for you throughout the years. I want to give you the time to give all those people a shout out.
Yeah, I want to give a big thanks to my sister and my parents and my Mimi and Angelina Ortuno, who was my best friend on and off the field last year. Maria for always being my best friend. Sophia and Strag, Peyton and Abby, and so Fortuno and all the Ortunos, and just Annie and Anna and Lucy, who are my sister's best friends, who are also like my big sisters, and just everyone who comes to support me and the team.
All right, Ella, thank you so much for the time. We wish you the best of luck this year, the rest of your lacrosse season, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.